You get a call from Child Protection. Someone has raised a concern about the safety of your children during your parenting time. You cooperate fully, you answer every question, you open your home to inspection. The investigation finds nothing. No basis for the report. You exile. Then 2 months later, there's another call. Different allegation, same outcome. Then the school contacts you with concerns someone has raised about your behaviour at drop-off. Then a welfare check at your door on a Tuesday night while your kids are doing their homework. Each one on its own is explained as routine. Someone raised a concern and the agency responded. But you can see what they can't. This is coordinated, and the person coordinating it is the same person who controlled your life inside the relationship. Today's video of the Blueprint of Family Violence Against Men is about institutional abuse post-separation, a tactic where your abuser weaponizes public systems and authorities to harass, monitor, investigate, and destabilize you after the relationship has ended. That's Child Protective Services, police, schools, medical providers, welfare agencies. Each one designed to protect families. Each one activated by your abuser to continue controlling yours. This is different from false allegations, which we covered in an earlier video. False allegations is about the claims themselves. Institutional abuse is about the systems those claims activate. Your abuser doesn't just allege, she triggers institutional machinery that must respond, and the response itself does the damage. The investigation, the documentation, the disruption, the record that remains on file, regardless of outcomes. For those of you who are new here, this is Stand Again, a lived experience platform for male victims of family violence. Abuse is not limited to one gender, but this channel focuses on the male perspective because it is so often dismissed or misunderstood. If this content helps you, please like, subscribe, and add the words Stand Again into the chat. Those 2 words might just help a male victim of family violence realize they are not alone. Institutional abuse post-separation is a use of public institutions and their protective mandates to maintain pressure on you after the separation. Your abuser makes reports, raises concerns, and triggers responses from agencies that are obligated to act on what they receive. These agencies are just doing their jobs. A Child Protective Service must investigate a report about a child's safety. A school must act on a concern raised about a student's welfare. Police must respond to a welfare request. They are responding to information they have received in good faith. What they cannot see is that the information is coming from a single source, deployed strategically across multiple systems designed to produce exactly the response it produces. You experience this as a coordinated campaign because it is one. But each agency sees only its own referral. The child protection worker doesn't know about the calls to the school. The school doesn't know about the police welfare checks. The police officer at your door doesn't know about the medical records your abuser has been building at her GP. Each professional is operating within their own mandate, responding to their own piece. She is the only person who sees the full picture because she is the one creating it. Even when reports are found to have no basis, the investigation itself creates stress, consumes time, and leaves a record. That record exists regardless of the outcome. When multiple reports accumulate, even when every single one is unsubstantiated, the file starts to look concerning to anyone reviewing it without the full context. A court, a family consultant, a psychologist preparing a report about your family will see a history of institutional involvement with your household. They may not read deeply enough to notice that every report came from the same source and every investigation found nothing. Your abuser is building a documented history of concern about you as a father, and the institutions are generating that documentation as a byproduct of doing their jobs. This tactic is particularly effective because you cannot prevent it. You cannot stop reports from being made. You cannot control what she tells a teacher, a doctor, or a caseworker. And any frustration you show at the process, any anger at the injustice of being investigated for something you did not do, any resistance to the intrusion into your home and your family life can be interpreted as confirming the very concerns your abuser raised. She is counting on your emotional response to the injustice to do half her work for her. Let's get into each one. We'll start with child protection weaponization. Child protection weaponization is when your abuser makes reports to child protection agencies that are designed to trigger an investigation of you rather than to protect your children. Your abuser times the reports to land before court dates or during your parenting time or when the disruption and stress will be most acute. The allegations are crafted carefully, serious enough that the agency must investigate, but vague enough that they can't be definitively disproved. When one investigation closes without finding, she just files another. She may report to multiple agencies at once, creating the appearance that concern about your parenting is widespread rather than coming from a single source. And if you have made any reports about her behaviour, she mirrors those allegations back at you, muddying the waters so that it looks like two parents making accusations at each other rather than one parent being abused and the other weaponizing the system. Child protection agencies must investigate these reports. Failing to investigate genuine abuse has catastrophic consequences, and these agencies are rightly cautious. Your abuser exploits that caution. Each report triggers contact, questioning, potential home visits, and documentation. Each investigation requires you to demonstrate your adequacy as a parent to professionals who arrive carrying her allegations. Your children may be interviewed at school, your home may be inspected, your parenting is scrutinized for anything that might confirm what she told them. And the investigation itself communicates something to everyone around you. Schools, courts, other professionals all see that you are someone who is warranted investigation. That signal remains even after the investigation finds nothing. Your instinct when the call comes is fear. Fear for your children if your time is restricted. Fear of how the investigation will look in your court proceedings. Fear that the caseworker will see through the lens your abuser has already provided. And underneath the fear is fury at the injustice of being investigated for something you did not do. That fury is understandable. It is also dangerous. If it leaks into how you engage with the caseworker, it becomes evidence that supports your abuser's narrative. Your abuser is counting on exactly that reaction. Next is school-based undermining. School-based undermining is when your abuser uses educational institutions to surveil, exclude, or discredit you as a parent. She may inform the school that you should not receive information or be contacted directly about your children. She volunteers extensively, positioning herself as the engaged and concerned parent, while ensuring your involvement appears minimal or absent. If you attend school events, your presence is reported as concerning. She changes emergency contact details to exclude you. She might make disclosures to school counsellors that change how they interact with your children and how they perceive you. Schools are increasingly growing accustomed to communicating with separated parents. However, the cultural bias that primary caregivers are mothers still persists. When your abuser presents herself as the concerned and engaged parent and raises questions about your involvement, administrative staff may accept her framing without questioning it. Your attempts to establish direct and involved interactions with the school can be experienced culturally as unusual or even controlling, not as a father being present. As a result, Your attendance at events may be watched more carefully than hers. You become the parent who is managed rather than welcomed. And your children see this. They see that the school interacts with their mother differently than it interacts with their father. They absorb that signal and it shapes how they understand their own family. Being excluded from the school means being excluded from your children's daily lives in a fundamental way. You miss information about their progress, their friendships, their struggles, and the exclusion is difficult to challenge because the school is responding to concerns your abuser raised. They believe they are acting in the children's best interests. Your frustration at being shut out can also be interpreted as exactly the behaviour she warned them about. Next is police activation. Police activation is when your abuser calls law enforcement to manufacture a crisis or create records of your alleged dangerousness. Your abuser calls police during routine handovers, claiming you were behaving threateningly. She requests welfare checks while the children are in your care. She alleges breaches of intervention orders that did not occur. She calls police to witness handovers as though your presence is inherently dangerous. Or she might make reports to different stations so that no single officer sees a pattern of repeated baseless calls. And after the records have been created, she withdraws the allegations or simply doesn't pursue them. She never needed them to go anywhere, she just needed the records. Every call generates a police record. That record exists regardless of whether any action was taken, whether charges were laid, or whether the allegations had any substance. The accumulation of records tells a story about a man whose household required police attendance on multiple occasions. Anyone reviewing those records without the full context will draw conclusions your abuser intended them to draw. A family consultant preparing a report will note the police involvement. A court will see the history. The records do the work for her. When police arrive at your home, you know the first moments matter. Officers attending a domestic-related call-out are trained to assess quickly. You are calm, you are cooperative, you explain the situation clearly and without emotion. And later alone, you can feel the full weight of what happened. Your children, though, saw police at their father's home. Your neighbours saw police at your door. The record has been created, and she will do it again, knowing that each time it erodes your standing and your stability a little bit further. Next is medical system manipulation. Medical system manipulation is when your abuser uses healthcare providers to create records that support her false narrative. She takes the children to emergency departments after your parenting time, describing vague injuries that she attributes to your care. She seeks psychological assessments for the children where coached disclosures are documented as if they were the child's own words. She attends her own medical appointments and reports abuse, creating clinical records that document her as a victim at a specific point in time. Or she might ensure the children mention your name in clinical settings so that your name appears in medical files associated with concern. Medical professionals are trained to document what they are told. A note in a clinical record stating that a patient reported her partner is abusive becomes a piece of evidence in proceedings. The distinction between a record of what someone alleged and evidence that the allegation is true matters in law, but in practical terms, that distinction often blurs. Clinical records carry the weight of medical documentation. They are frequently admissible in court proceedings, and the doctor who recorded her disclosure does not know about the child protection reports, the police activations, or the school complaints. They see one patient telling them one thing, and they documented it as they are trained to do. Your abuser is building a paper trail through the healthcare system, and each entry in that trail looks like independent evidence of the pattern that she is constructing. Next is forced escalation via mandatory reporting. Forced escalation via mandatory reporting is when your abuser exploits the legal obligations of professionals to report suspected child abuse. Teachers, doctors, counsellors, and other professionals who work with children have mandatory reporting obligations. When they receive information that meets their reporting threshold, they must report it. They have no discretion. She understands this mechanism and she uses it deliberately. Your abuser makes targeted disclosures to school counselors, knowing that what she says will trigger a mandatory report. She describes her concerns to pediatricians, using language calibrated to activate their notification obligations. Or she may coach the children to make statements to therapists that cross the reporting threshold. She might even seek multiple professional opinions until one of them results in a report. And then she makes partial disclosures, providing just enough information that the professional fills in the gaps with their own assumptions that align with the false narrative she is building. The professional in each case has acted ethically and legally. They have fulfilled their obligation. And your abuser has weaponized that obligation to produce another investigation, another record, another piece of the documented pattern she's creating around you. You cannot ask professionals to ignore their legal duties. You cannot explain the broader context to each individual reporter, because each one is encountering the situation for the first time and processing their own referral. The system functions as designed. It is simply being operated by someone who understands precisely how to activate and manipulate it. The last one for today is repeated welfare checks. Repeated welfare checks is when your abuser requests police or agency attendance at your home based on fabricated concerns about your well-being or your children's safety. She might claim you have made suicide statements, triggering an immediate police response. Your abuser might express concerns about the children's safety during your parenting time. She might make anonymous reports about conditions in your home. Frequently, these calls will arrive during the night or during special events or during periods where the disruption will be felt most acutely by you and your children or witnessed by other people. And she might use different callers or different agencies so that the pattern of repeated basis requests is harder to identify. Welfare checks serve multiple functions for your abuser. They demonstrate that she can reach into your home even after separation. They create opportunities for false allegations if you react with visible frustration to the intrusion. They signal to your children that their father's home requires official monitoring, that something about their time with you warrants outside attention. And they generate records that can be cited in court proceedings. The concerns your abuser reports in her requests are never genuine. The purpose is disruption, surveillance, and the creation of a documented history of your household requiring official attention. Each welfare check is an invasion of the space you have built for yourself and your children after separation. Your home is supposed to be your safe haven. When police arrive because she made a call, that boundary is breached. So how do you protect yourself against this tactic? There are 3 things that you can do. The first is respond, do not react. This is the most important thing you can do across every form of institutional abuse. When the caseworker calls, when the police arrive, when the school raises a concern, your instinct is likely going to be anger. That anger is justified. You are being investigated, disrupted, and surveilled because of false reports from someone who spent years abusing you. The injustice is real, and your anger at that injustice, if it shows, may confirm the false narrative she has built about you. Every interaction with an institution is an opportunity to be the calm, grounded parent she told them you were not. Be measured in how you engage. Be respectful of the professional in front of you. They are just doing their job. They didn't create this situation, your abuser did. At the same time, do not assume that full cooperation without legal guidance is safe. Before you answer detailed questions, provide documents or consent to inspections beyond what is legally required, speak with your lawyer. You can be calm and cooperative in your manner while still being strategic about what you say and what you provide. Your lawyer will help you understand the difference between what you are obligated to do and what you are being asked to do. Those are often different things. The next tool is to document the patterns across agencies. No individual institution can see the coordinated campaign because each one only sees its own referral. You are the only person, apart from your abuser, who can see the full picture. Keep a clear, factual, chronological record of every report made, every investigation trigger, every welfare check, every school complaint. Record which agency was contacted, when, what was alleged, and what the outcome was. Do this consistently and keep it up to date. Your lawyer needs this record because when the time comes to demonstrate to a court that what is happening is a pattern of vexatious reporting rather than genuine and widespread concern about your parenting, that documented timeline across all agencies is what makes the pattern visible. Without it, a court sees individual incidences. With it, the court just may see the campaign for what it is. And the third tool, which is the most obvious, is show consistency. Across every interaction with every institution, your job is to be consistently the same person. The grounded, present, engaged father she told them does not exist. Over weeks and months and years and repeated interactions, your consistency becomes your evidence. The caseworker who found nothing on the first visit and nothing on the second and nothing on the third starts to see the pattern from your side. The teacher who watches you at drop-off and sees a calm, loving father interacting naturally with his children starts to question the characterization she was given. You may not be able to explain the pattern to them in words. You can show it to them through who you are every single time they see you. Consistency is your most powerful tool because it speaks louder than anything your abuser may have told them. The institutions are not your enemy. They are being used and manipulated. The professionals you encounter are fulfilling their roles. Your job, as unfair as it is to show them who you actually are, every time, calmly, consistently, until the picture they have of you comes from their own experience rather than from your abuser's false reports. That takes patience you should not have to have. It requires composure in moments where composure may feel impossible. And it asks you to absorb injustice without letting it define how you engage with the world around you. One thing I need you to hear very clearly: do not let what she has done with these institutions stop you from engaging with them when you genuinely need to. Do not stop contacting your children's school about their education. Do not stop engaging with police if you have a genuine safety concern. Do not stop taking your children to the doctor. The fact that your abuser has weaponized these institutions does not mean you should withdraw from them. Withdrawing from the institutions that surround your children's life is exactly what she wants, because it leaves her as the only parent those institutions hear from. Stay engaged, stay present, stay visible. Let these professionals see you as the involved, grounded father you are, because the more they interact with you directly, the harder it becomes for her false version of you to hold. This is Stand Again, lived experience platform for male survivors of family violence. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Your voice might just help another man find his. If you're looking for one-on-one support, you can book coaching with a member of the Stand Again team. Simply visit standagain.com.au, where you will also find grounded information on surviving and recovering from family violence as a man. As always, remember that no matter how many times you've been knocked down, you can stand again.